It is an absolutely mammoth 24 hours in Australian football for multiple parties, and it starts tonight here at Knights Stadium. Two teams doing battle for a place in the national stages of the Australia Cup, for the exposure that a national run can bring, for the prestige that a national run can bring, and the potential cash infusion that a national run can bring, especially if you are fortunate enough to draw an A-League men's side in those stages. Thank you for joining us tonight from Knights Stadium. My name is Joey Lynch, joined on the call by Josh Parrish, here for Melbourne Knights versus the Oakleigh Cannons in the 7th preliminary round of Australia Cup qualifying here in Victoria. Thank you for joining us wherever you happen to be. If you are tuning in from the Australia Cup social channels, the Football Victoria social channels, or indeed NPL.tv, we hope to bring you what should be a cracking contest. Josh, what are you most looking forward to tonight?
I'm most looking forward to seeing just how buoyed these Knights players are by their original Melbourne derby victory on Friday night. The dramatic nature of that Gian Albano goal in the very last minute of extra time, it was so spectacular. And that's a real tonic to potentially turn their season around. They're sitting in 8th place in NPL Victoria, but this cup run has given them some respite, and that win in the league will really boost morale here at Knights Stadium. For Oakleigh, they are one of the leading title contenders here in NPL Victoria. 2nd place on the ladder, just 1 point behind South Melbourne on top. So they've got a star-studded lineup, plenty of well-known players, seasoned campaigners at NPL Victoria level to keep an eye on tonight.
Indeed. Speaking to Coach Steve Babbage before the game for the Knights, he said they have pulled through with that with just a few sore bodies, but given that he is fielding a completely unchanged 11 from that original Melbourne derby triumph against South Melbourne, nobody too worse for wear. And the Oakleigh Cannons, Josh Parrish, just the one change, I think, from their 0-0 draw with the Dandy Thunder over the weekend?
Yes, indeed. Hamish Miller drops out of the squad entirely, so we can only assume that's an injury-enforced swap. Matt Fascini comes back into the squad, though, returning himself from an injury absence, so they won't lose much in that department. Fascini, of course, vastly experienced from his days at Melbourne Victory and has been a staple of the Oakleigh Cannons for a number of years now. He comes in at fullback, right fullback, and Anthony Pantazopoulos, the youngster who's really impressed this season, shifts over to left back.
As we'll take you through the full 11s in a second. We might let this Melbourne Knights attack develop before we do so, as it's Mosa Mayoro on the ball. Spreads it across to the man wearing the armband tonight, Aiden Bryce. Told that he apparently had to pass a late fitness test before he could play in this one, but has evidently come through that okay, given that he will once again be marshalling the defence for the Knights. And given that players slow down, we can take you through the Knights side. So starting in goal for them, Tom Manos, and then in front of him, Jake Marth, Thierry Iridakunda, Aiden Bryce, Anthony Giselle, Luka Celic, Gian Albano, Mosa Mayoro, Trevor Semakula, Jack Morton, and Luka Kolic. So some familiar names there. And who's on the Oakleigh 11 tonight, Josh?
Oh, Nick Feely is always between the sticks. The back four is Fascini and Pantazopoulos at fullbacks. As I mentioned, Oscar Dillon and Aaron Williams is the centre-back partnership. Midfield of Tyson Holmes, Oliver Kubalay, and Joe Guest. The front line is Joe Knowles, Wade Decker, and Daniel Clark playing through the middle up top.
As we see there, Iridakunda sliding in with the challenge. Another one of these former Melbourne Victory players running around the park, albeit Iridakunda didn't have anywhere near the senior career that Fascini did, albeit he's a former Y-League Player of the Year.
Yeah, of course, had some A-League appearances with Western United. Here goes Joe Guest. Knocking it out wide for Pantazopoulos. Good claim from Tom Manos. Always good for a goalkeeper to get his hands on the ball early in the evening, especially on a freezing night like tonight, Joey.
Indeed, it is a windswept, ice-cold evening out here in the ironically named sunshine. The cold winds howling in the quarry behind us. As you see Manos on the ball now. Manos has been one of the form goalkeepers of this NPL men's Victoria season. Pulled out a number of season-defining saves. I remember their game against the Bentley Greens earlier in the season. Produced a save that wouldn't have been out of place at international level, but he might be called into action now? No, he won't.
It's good cover from Jack Marth. He's growing into his role as a central defender this season after being fielded predominantly at fullback last year. Son of Knights legend Andrew Stabber Marth. Great to see that name still ringing around Knights Stadium after all these years.
Chance now for the Knights to get forward with a throw-in on their right flank. Scored relatively early against South Melbourne on Friday. I think it was 9th minute that Sumayoro had the, I'll call it a diving header in the end. He was on all fours by the time the ball reached him.
Oakleigh, I think, appealing for an offside there. Attacker wasn't involved in the play. Here's Selic. Trying to turn Pantazopoulos, but no way past. And Morton will get another take of this throw-in. Selic the target again. He leaps it over his own head. Cleared by Williams. It's out to Albano. Hooks it back for Luka Kolic. He's been a revelation this season after being promoted from the Knights junior ranks. Semakula. Iridakunda. Trying to keep the forward momentum going. It's a patient move here by the Knights, but they'll be forced back to their centre halves.
Just see the Oakleigh Cannons keeping that defensive shape. They're not forcing the issue, but then again, they're not giving the Knights any easy avenues in towards the penalty area. And they'll eventually force the turnover.
It's Wade Decker who puts his teammate Tyson Holmes under a bit of pressure there, but he dealt with it well, the experienced central midfielder. Now here's Giselle. Tries from range. It's an awkward bounce in front of Nick Feely.
Always worth it at these early stages. Giselle, obviously seeing the angle into goal, and who knows in these cold conditions, wet conditions as well, pitch a little sodden. Who knows what will happen, but Nick Feely more than up to the challenge of collecting that one, as now his teammates come forward. Kubele playing as the sixth, they'll helping to facilitate the switch onto the left flank. And in the end, headed clear by the Knights. Big collision there. In the end, I think that was Aaron Williams cleared up by Sumayoro, and our referee tonight, Iona Zizis, coming over to get a bit of a talk to the Knights' right winger.
Here's a second on the scene there. Both players going for the ball fairly, and Williams got there first. Collected for his troubles. This is close enough for Oakleigh to put a ball in the box. Joe Guest, he's the man to take it with his left boot. Got some tall timber forward, including Oscar Dillon and Pantazopoulos. Targets at the back stick. Delivery is short. It's flicked on by Decker. Pantazopoulos with the snapshot. Straight at Tom Manos.
I have to acknowledge, though, Manos probably would have seen that one a little late. Just Pantazopoulos swivelling and hitting it through a sea of bodies. But well held by the gloveman, as now Sumayoro given something to chase. Tries to shove his man off the ball. He's going to cut it back, but Selic can't get there before it's booted clear by Dillon.
That spun and stayed in play, Joey. Somehow. Tyson Holmes gives it away. Albano cuts inside into the feet of Selic. Given away to Tyson Holmes. And now Joe Knowles comes clear with the ball, and he's one to watch tonight, Joe Knowles. He's such a good dribbler. So hard to win the ball back off him when he gets going.
Indeed, one might say that it's the two Perth-born players on either side that are the danger men. Joe Knowles out there for the Oakleigh Cannons, and then Gian Albano, Perth-born, former Glory youngster, but signed with the Knights from Bayswater City. Really the danger man for the Knights. Of course, he scored that magnificent late winner in the original Melbourne derby, but he does lead his side in scoring in both the NPL Victoria campaign and the Australia Cup. As we see Clark trying to get things going for the Cannons. A bit slippery and slidey there. Knowles had to go back and get it, and in the end, under the attention from Aidan Bryce, he'll cough it up.
The hesitation there between Holmes and Fashini, and Oakleigh give the ball away from that throw-in. Here's Iridakunda, well anticipated by Oscar Dillon.
But they are going to look to do that tonight, the Knights. Every time they can get Albano into space, it's something they're going to look to do. He's adept at either getting to the byline or cutting it in or driving inside, as you can see him thinking about just then, albeit it ends with a turnover after Kubele got across to contest the run.
And he'll be looking to exploit any rustiness, any lack of fitness from Fashini coming back into the team tonight. His first game back. Probably the Oakleigh player to target in the defence. Try and get in behind him and beat him for pace.
Of course, the Oakleigh defence has been rather stout thus far in the Australia Cup, yet to concede a goal in their previous 3 games. Of course, NPL sides entering the competition in the 4th round of preliminary qualifying. The Cannons beating Epping City 4-0, White Star Dandenong 12-0, and then recording a 1-0 win over fellow top-flight side Hume City in their last match-up in the Cup. Zelic now, able to work it to Giselle and Iridakunda. So again, the Knights just trying to play the ball around. Sumayoro out there. No real options in front of him. So the Knights, they're going to have to just reset, knock the ball around. And you can see also the Cannons getting up and forcing the Knights players to go with them. That header back from Sumayoro is not going to work as Kubele charges it down, but he in turn is close down, and the Knights do well to retain possession.
College heads on, but only as far as Panterzopoulos, and anywhere will do for Oakleigh. I'm struck by just how deep Oakleigh is sitting. Numbers behind the ball, very, very compact.
Well, they are a side that has been ravaged by injury and illness in recent weeks. Squad depth really being tested. They've got 3 youngsters promoted from the 21s on their bench tonight. So, especially with the prospect of perhaps extra time looming, might suit the Cannons to sit back as the more reactive side, save some energy and allow the Knights to run themselves ragged.
Here's Joe Guest. It's inside onto his left foot. Feels he was brought down by Semakula, and he will win the free kick.
Now, this should be interesting. If you are going to sit back like the Cannons are, set pieces, only so often are your avenues to goal, especially when you've got some of the tall timber that we can see moving forward, such as Oscar Dillon.
It's crafty stuff from Joe Guest to draw the foul, and he'll take the free kick himself. 2 in the wall for Knights.
So you can see, expect that left-footed, in-swinging ball to come. Could even go for goal himself from here.
Wouldn't put it past Joe Guest. He's a player who loves to try the unexpected. He goes for the cross, though. It's a dangerous area, not cleared by Knights, and it's just flashed wide. Look at Zelic, perhaps just doing enough. Aidan Bryce and Tom Manos congratulating each other on evading that scare. Corner for Oakleigh. Away by Marth. Oscar Dillon in nosebleed territory. Ball in is cleared by Marth again. Fashini. Knowles rides the challenge of Semakula. That's the balance we were talking about. The dribbling so impressive. It's Decker into the feet of Clark. Semakula got a foot in. Fashini. Kubele helps it on to Joe Guest. Looking to cut inside here and shoot, and Manos beats it away.
Volleyball like there from Manos, just spiking it anywhere except the goals. Too much venom on it to perhaps collect it, but there we go, Josh. Really the first period of sustained pressure from the Oakleigh Cannons and a series of challenges that you could have easily seen opening the scoring.
Closest either side has come so far.
As now we see Wade Decker switching play out to Fashini on the right flank. Simakula came over to keep him company. Splayed out to the left by Guest. Oh, just left behind by Joe Knowles. Fresh airy swing. Now, eventually, he gets a high ball in, but it's gone beyond anyone.
That's deflected. I have to say I'm surprised by that decision, Joey. I'm 90% sure that took a deflection as Joe Knowles crossed the ball in. Should have been an Oakleigh corner, but Knights get the goal kick.
Marth now able to carry it out. Then he's just going to whack it long, and Sumayoro is going to give chase. It's going to be headed down. Selic arrives. He feints and leaves it. College from range. Deflected out for a corner.
I'm just looking back at that Oakleigh chance, Joey. It was mighty close. Just needed a final touch to help it in on the goal line. It's a great ball to the back post by Joe Guest. Only half cleared. I'm not sure if Selic got a touch on it in the end. Daniel Clark was looming. He just did enough to put Daniel Clark off.
Well, now the Knights will be looking to get some set-piece magic of their own going. Morton there to take. You can see the Knights, the runs come. Can't beat the first man. And in the end, a poor set-piece series of events for the Melbourne Knights.
Yeah, it didn't beat the man on the near post, which when you're taking an in-swinging corner is pretty disappointing. Daniel Clark tries to chest it down, Marwan Fellaini style, but it doesn't come off. Sumayoro.
Acres of space on the right.
Instead he took the ball left. And Kubalay won it back now. It's into a channel for Daniel Clark to chase. It's not really his forte. Semakula for Iridakunda. Knights will switch the point of attack and try and exploit that space on the far side. Selic running behind.
Would have been offside.
And that won't be a free kick because, as you say, Joey, Luka Kolic was in an offside position.
So, see now, Melbourne Knights trying to, on a few occasions, just loop balls in behind and try to exploit what they must see as pace mismatches. Now they'll have a throw in on their left flank. Sent back in by Simakula. Bryce. Ooh, a bit of a hospital pass there back from Marth, and Bryce couldn't control it, and will give the Cannons now a chance to get forward quickly from the throw-in. Clash between Iridakunda and Joe Knowles leads to the former giving away another free kick. So you don't want to be giving the Oakleigh Cannons with the offensive firepower that they do possess any freebies like that turnover. And that's exactly what the Knights have done.
They are such a dangerous side in transition, the Oakleigh Cannons. Can't afford to be giving away gifts like that. Again, it's the set piece. Oakleigh have threatened from these situations already in this match. Again, it's Joe Guest. Joe Knowles, completely unmarked behind the wall. I try the quick free kick. No, it's more conventional delivery. Chested down by Aaron Williams, I should say, and volleyed over the crossbar. That was a decent take for a centre-back.
Very decent take. Well-travelled Aaron Williams, who was lured to the club by Joe Knowles. Both had come across each other on their long and winding footballing careers. Joe Knowles told him that must have sold him on the Souvlakis at a Jack Edwards Reserve or something like that.
That's an easy sell.
Now as Manos gets things going again on the right. Has been the sides the Knights have favoured just a bit more across these opening exchanges of the game, approaching the 20-minute mark. And just as I say that, they'll switch play up and go to the left of Albano. Semakula provides the overlap. Albano tries to reward him. Fashini aware of the danger, and then Fashini provide. Oh, well, he earns the free kick, and then he lets Semakula know about it.
Matt Fashini, seasoned pro, knows how to play just on the line of a yellow card without receiving one. And making a point to Semakula about standing in front of the free kick he was about to take. Frankly, I applaud him for it, Joey. It's an epidemic.
Well, that long ball through's only going to find Nick Feely. Hints of a press from the Knights forces Feely to go long. And it's going to fall down to Marth, who just belts it forward himself. So both teams bypassing the midfield in the previous exchanges. Now, throw-in taken quickly. Doesn't result in anything except another throw-in.
Well, it's been a tame start to this affair. Oakleigh, the more threatening of the two sides. Knights with perhaps more of the ball. Here is Selic. His pass deflected. Now here goes Joe Knowles. Again, they're looking for the quick transition, but that hopeful ball won't find a teammate.
You can see not much hint from a press from the Cannons either. It's really just Daniel Clark on an island on his own. Till eventually they spring and, well, make me look like a fool as they'll first a turnover, but Clark can't turn.
And that will be a free kick. Feels like the best chances in this game could come from those counter-on-a-counter situations. If Oakleigh come forward, the Knights win it back and try and spring in transition themselves and then give it away. Oakleigh can be really lethal in those scenarios. It's a bit of a different equation playing on this big pitch at Knight Stadium versus the more claustrophobic conditions at Jack Edwards.
I'd call them cosy, Josh.
You see Oakleigh play a lot more aggressively in those surrounds. Able to get pressure on the ball a lot faster. They're taking a slightly more conservative approach, as we've been talking about tonight. Just trying to manage the minutes and manage the energy, rather, of these starting 11 players with so many youngsters called up from the reserves on the bench. Although they've been fortunate in that, although their squad depth has been tested, the starting 11 is almost untouched. Did get confirmation that Hamish Miller did come off with an injury on the weekend and was replaced at half-time.
I mean, even as well, I was about to say we'll let this play out, but it just has. But admittedly, some of the youngsters they have brought up are intriguing as well. They've got youngster Pavel Kuznetsov on the bench. He scored 11 goals in 16 games at an under-21 level, so obviously knows where the back of the net is. Whether or not he can do it at a senior level is another matter. And then Alan Kokaric as well. He's got 8 goals in 11 games with the 21s this season.
I only have to look at the example of Pandazopoulos as someone who's taken their opportunity when it's arisen. Knights try and win it back high. Kolich was applying the pressure, but the rebound does not fall kindly for the men in red and white. Pandazopoulos' first pass is closed down. He goes back to Aaron Williams. It's a nicely measured switch out to Matt Fashini.
See now Tyson Holmes dropping to provide an option. He gets ignored. So it goes to Kubele. But the Knights converging on these attempts to pass the ball forward.
Oscar Dillon did remarkably well with an awkward bouncing ball there.
Nice little flick on from the defender. We've seen the techers from defenders on a few occasions thus far this game.
Yes, indeed. Aaron Williams with that beautiful chest and volley that was only a couple of metres off target from the edge of the area.
Indeed, even thinking back to Friday night, Aidan Bryce's sliced pass in the lead into the Knights' first goal really is something worth going and looking up, really. Fantastic ball. That one, not so good. The attempted flick on for Celic.
They're trying to play into Selic's feet and play the 1-2 almost every time. Knights, and if it comes off, they could be in behind in a hurry. Good sliding challenge from Iridikunda. That's his bread and butter. Roll back from Albano, keeps it in play. Iridikunda goes down and will win the free kick. A bit tasty out there between Knowles and Semakula.
Semakula's getting in a few bits of argy-bargy tonight.
He wasn't even involved in the tackle. I'm not sure how he got on the scene, but
you know, these ankle-biting left backs always getting in the heads of opposition players.
He's, of course, a converted winger, Semakula. Signed as an attacking player, but converted to fullback by Steve Bebic. Now playing as an inverted fullback on the left-hand side.
Well, spent some time in some pretty good academies, didn't he, Trevor Semakula? West Ham's, I believe, for a time. Do a lot worse than West Ham's academy. Now we see on the opposite side, Sumayoro, there's 3 Oakleigh defenders surrounding him. But he's going to keep fighting and look for the byline and whip it in. Deflect out for a corner. Got to applaud the hustle and bustle there from Sumayoro.
Very much so. He's another one of these players with great balance. And bodies tend to bounce off him as he's dribbling through. Knights with 5 splitting at the top of the penalty area. Aidan Bryce was the target, but it was a little overhit. Slice clear by Oakleigh and over the touchline by Oliver Kubele in the end. Celic. Albano chests it down. Lovely touch, but the second defender was covering. Knowles whips it across to Wade Decker. 2 for company and eventually loses his footing. Tyson Holmes can't keep it alive. That's a lovely dribble from Albano in a tight space. The ball comes off the referee there. Knights still have possession, so we won't stop play.
One of those awkward ones where they do retain possession, but the impetus from the move was slightly dissipated. But
there's nothing much you can do about that if you're Jonas Isis.
Of course, you just see again Albano just able to operate in these tight spaces surrounded by so many players. It makes him such a lethal figure up front for the Knights. You know, you might get 2 or 3 around there, but next thing you know, it doesn't matter because he's skipping up the touchline or cutting inside and letting loose with a shot. Now he's taken up position by the box as the Cannons clear it, potentially. Only for Iridikunda to get in front and keep possession for the Knights, but his resulted ball cleared away. The Knights get their throw in now. Marth switching it quickly to Bryce. He in turn sends it to Semakula on the left. One on Albano, he just had to put a touch on it. Got it to Iridikunda eventually, but then Iridikunda perhaps not aware of the danger coming in, and he'll turn it over. Now the ball forward, Clark was offside.
Tucks it away confidently though, rounding the goalkeeper. It won't count, of course, but it's always good for a striker's confidence when you can stick it in the net. Have a little practice run in front of goal for when it really matters.
And if you are one of the centre-backs, you are duty-bound to inform him that that's the only way you're scoring tonight. When you're cheating in an offside position.
Or complain to the referee, say he deserves a yellow card for playing on after the whistle.
Thoughts are dark arts.
Do you remember Robin Van Persie being sent off at the new camp for doing that? Second yellow card. Said he couldn't hear the whistle.
Bit of head tennis eventuates between the two sides. Giselle eventually kills it down. Initially thought about the switch of play to Sumayoro. Instead he goes backwards. Semakula promptly turns the ball over. So do the Cannons, Aiden Bryce now. And then he'll play that long ball across to the right. Dezopoulos with the header. Guest loses his footing. Easy collection for the Knights. Giselle. Eventually it's going to spill to Selic. He can hit them. Instead he's going to look for Semakula, who wanted the cutback. Blocked away. Semakula goes again. Working against Knowles. Does well to lose his marker, Semakula, and then gets it away just and wins a free kick.
Look at Selic. Might have preferred the advantage there, but I think he got into a better position because the defenders around him had
turned
stopped.
Off at the whistle, yes. Play to the whistle, Josh Parrish.
That's it.
But now gets a chance to take this free kick, and much as we were pontificating about some of the Cannon free kicks in similar positions, can't discount the shot here.
No, Selic likes to have a crack from range. Remember a game earlier this season where he had to go from about 40 metres out from a set piece. Instead he decides to lay it off for Morton. It was a clean strike, but it was heading off target. Williams heads away for Sheeny.
That's one from the training track, I think, Josh. The clear intention to just open up the angle there. Didn't come off, but Morton did hit it with some venom.
He struck the ball very nicely. Oof. One weight tickle for Luka Selic.
Yeah, in this weather, especially. Ouch. So just past the half-hour mark here at Knight Stadium. If you are just tuning in on NPL.tv or Football Victoria or the Australia Cup social channels. Oakleigh probably with the better of the chances. Knights with more of the ball and probably just shading the territory battle as well. Although that has become more even as the game progressed. Selic does well to turn. Now he's got support on the left in the form of Semakula. Eventually that pass comes. Semakula poked away. And now can the Cannons counter? Knowles on the ball. Sheeny on the overlap. To Knowles. Dances around Giselle. But perhaps that counter is now gone as the Knights have set up in their defensive shape.
It's Morton with the foot in, but it spills to Pantazopoulos again. Oakleigh throw-in just in front of the Knights bench.
In front of our fourth official tonight, Mark Tito. Assistants are Astro Sakalis and Benjamin Lapilio.
Down the line, Morton intercepts. Pantazopoulos barreling away through. Wade Decker was trying to help it on to Daniel Clark there, but couldn't quite thread the needle past Jack Marth. Throw to Decker with the touch. Back to the thrower. Was off the mark. Wade Decker having quite the prolific season in the league.
Equal leader in the Golden Boot, is he not? Alongside Harrison Sawyer from South Melbourne.
Yes, indeed.
11 goals thus far on their campaigns.
He might be yet to score in the Cup this season, though, Wade Decker.
Well, there's no time like the present to open your account. No doubt would be the thoughts of Cannon coach Chris Taylor. Taylor himself not a stranger to the national stages of the Australia Cup. We'll get to that in a second. As Selic plays through Sumayoro. Looking for the cut back. It's going to fall at the last. Selic, left-footed effort across the face of goal.
It's gone out for a throw-in in the end, but look at Selic was not that far away from making the right contact with that deflection on the cutback, but if there's one player who has the technique to volley on his weaker foot from that sort of angle, it's Luka Celic. Got it wrong that time, just splayed off the right side of his left boot, but he does have that in his locker.
Just finds a way to pop up in threatening areas, doesn't Celic, in his first season with the Melbourne Knights after coming out from Croatia. Spent a long time on the books of HNK Šibenik.
It's some pedigree. Have a former high Nell player starting in MPL Victoria. Albano exchanging passes with Kolic.
It's a good ball.
It's out to Sumayoro. Assessing his options and perhaps assessed them for too long.
See, that's a position where you'd like to see one of Giselle or Iridakunda arriving late, arriving to the top of the box, both to meet deflected crosses like that or to receive a cutback right then. They were just hanging back and easy for the Cannons to clear.
I think that's perhaps what Sumayoro was waiting for. He was hoping there was a third-man runner, a late arriving midfielder, but none came, and by the time he was ready to knock the ball into the danger area, there was no available open option.
Tyson Holmes will give away the free kick on that occasion. Knowles was in there as well. Giselle now tries to dink a cheeky little ball over the top for Kolic, headed clear. Can reset. Giselle this time opts to go out to Sumayoro on the right flank, but a bit wayward, and his header can't keep it in.
Well, the Knights have been a little bolder, a little more inventive in possession. Still, it's that header off a Joe Guest free kick. That's the best opportunity of the match so far. And it is that man, Joe Guest, who's fouled, this time by Giselle. Winning yet another free kick in a promising position. None have been in shooting range, but another opportunity to put a ball in the box. And as I was just saying, Oakleigh have been really dangerous from these scenarios.
We'll see now. Is this the moment? Well, they're going to take it quickly. Come out to Knowles, and he'll try to cross the ball in. Maybe caught his teammates unawares. Cleared initially by the Knights, but Pantazopoulos sends it back in. But now, Albano, he is lethal in transition, but not lethal enough to beat the challenge of Fashini.
Well, not lethal against four defenders. Gian Albano, he's good, but not that good. Totally isolated in that transition situation. Decker feeds it for Knowles. Here goes Joe Knowles! Oh, what a finish!
An absolute thunderbolt.
Joe Knowles with a bit of cup magic from outside the area, and Oakleigh Cannons take the lead at Knight Stadium, 1-0.
Well, there we go. We've been talking about the Cannons, their lethality in transition, and there you see it right there. Getting out quickly, preventing the Knights from getting set up in their low block, and bang, Joe Knowles with a finish worthy of the Australia Cup round of 32. Absolutely wellied that one. Manos, no chance.
He only needs an inch, and he'll take you a mile. Joe Knowles, he was just too quick for Aiden Bryce there, and as soon as he had the beating of the Knights captain, there was only one thing on his mind, the top corner. And he found it.
And now we await to see what the Knights' response will be. These teams have played once already this season. It wasn't actually that long ago, back on the 25th of May. The Cannons took an early 2-0 lead through Holmes and Guest. The Knights would pull one back through Albano, and speaking to some of the Knights, they felt as though, after conceding those early goals, they had the better of play in that game. Thought they had the Cannons on the ropes, but now they find themselves in another deficit. First task, one imagines, is not allowing the second to come quickly as it did last time. The next is figuring out a way to bring things back level in this round 7 preliminary qualifying match of the Victorian Australia Cup qualifiers.
They haven't fared well from losing positions this season, the Knights. Need to change that, and fast. Here's Marth for Giselle. Led on by Pantazopoulos, back to Aaron Williams. I'll go all the way back to Nick Feely. Here's Aiden Bryce, striding forwards.
On an adventure, trying to cut back as well.
He loves a bit of that, Aiden Bryce.
What's a phrase? Good feet for a big lad.
Albano doesn't win the free kick he was looking for. Guest had no width out on that left flank. Wade Decker had come all the way inside and he had no passing option.
Knights tackling each other on that occasion. College on Sumayoro.
Some miscommunication getting in each other's way. Not what Steve Bebic wants to see. Particularly after they've just conceded a goal.
And it will allow the Cannons to come away with it. Long ball forward, over the head of Guest. Falls to Clark. Clark escapes Marth, and then he's going to look for the byline. Bring it inside, men in the middle. Clark's going to go himself, and then the cutback. That would have been two had the crucial intervention not come at the last for the Knights. But now Albano. He wanted to try to spark something in transition, can't. But warning signs for the Knights, Josh.
They were inches away from 2-0 there. Oakleigh, if that cutback had been on the money from Daniel Clark. Did so well getting down the byline. Wade Decker was lurking. It's been very savvy stuff from Chris Taylor's side this evening. They've picked their moments. They've conserved energy. They've let Melbourne Knights have the ball. And they've sprung when it's mattered most.
And we'll have to see how Coach Steve Bebic and the Knights dugout responds. What do they tell these players at the rapidly approaching half-time mark? Samakula sends this one high for Sumayoro, but it will be cleared away by Pantazopoulos. Also need to note that on the bench after missing the game against South Melbourne due to his sister's nuptials up in Sydney, Anthony Frangi is back for the Knights, a handy addition to have off the bench. The former Marconi man has 4 league goals this season, as well as 1 in the Cup.
He's sure to make an impact if he comes on. He's a very dynamic player, Anthony Frangi. Demands a lot from his teammates as well. Iridakunda. Sumayoro keeps it in. It's back with Morton. Looks up for the switch in the direction of Tselich, but it only makes it as far as Matt Fashini. Dylan forced into the hurried clearance.
Interesting there, Knowles content to just let Bryce head it back and then try to pounce on it.
And nearly paid off as well. That header only just cleared Joe Knowles.
As you said, Josh, some savvy stuff on display from the Cannons thus far this evening. That clearance will bounce out for a Knights throw in. Under 3 minutes of regulation now remaining in the opening stanza at Knights Stadium. The Cannons now leading 1-0. Knights trying to come up the right flank. They can't get it on. And another chance perhaps for Oakleigh to counter quickly. Clark gets to Guest. Knowles in the middle, but Guest bundled over by Bryce fairly, according to our referee. And then Bryce just looking for territory. Can't get it past Clark. No, in the end it has gone out. And it will be a Knights throw-in.
It's when Oakleigh win the ball high in those situations that they look most threatening. They pick their moments to press, usually just after they've lost the ball themselves. It's those little moments of danger that the Knights have to be sure-footed when it comes to their passing. Can't take risks in that area of the field. If Oakleigh pick one off, it's 2-0 and They're looking at a mountain to climb in the second half.
Now Semakula trying to get things going down the left. The converted winger. Bring it inside for Celic. First time ball to Albano. This is dangerous from the Knights. Albano. You could see what he was trying to do. He just wanted to knock that ball beyond the Cannon defence, catch them on the back foot, and then blast it perhaps with his left foot in on the goals of Nick Feely. But step one, get it past the defence, didn't come off. Now will be a cannon ball.
Semakula looks nonplussed. Took a long, lingering look at the referee after that decision.
If this was AFL, that would be a 50-metre penalty, Josh.
I don't think he raised his arms. Here goes Joe Guest, feeding it through for Wade Decker. Jack Marth absolutely had to get there, and he did just enough. Similar situation to where Joe Knowles beat Aiden Bryce for the goal.
Good hustle from College to win it back.
Here goes Celic. Returns the ball to Luka Kolic. Just gets muscled off it at the last by Oliver Kubele.
Series of good hustling play from the two number 19s. College to keep the attack going, but then Kubele to kill it. The Knights can come again. Albano given a task, but one he'll successfully complete to keep it in. Plays it central to Celic. Good play to initially keep the ball from Celic, but then maybe one defender too many. As his attempt to spin and rotate, sees the ball come loose. And that will be half-time, Josh.
Yes. A break at Knight Stadium and a chance for Steve Bebic and his players to have a think over that first 45 and what they might change, what they might do differently to break down this Oakleigh defence. They've had a few promising moments, but no real clear-cut chances. Oakleigh, on the other hand, have picked their moments wisely. Dangerous offset pieces, and then, in an instant, Joe Knowles winning the ball high up the park, skipping past Aiden Bryce, burying that ball in the top corner from outside the box. An absolutely searing strike to make it 1-0. That's the quality that Oakleigh possess, and that's why at the moment they're heading for the national round of 32 in the Australia Cup.
Indeed, should be all to play for in this second half. Josh Parrish, if you are watching along, you'll have a countdown clock for company throughout the half-time break, but be sure to join us in about 15 minutes on the other side, wherever where you happen to be watching, however you happen to be watching, for what should be an entertaining second stanza.
Welcome back to Knight Stadium for this Round 7 Victorian Australia Cup clash. Winner goes to the national stages. At halftime, the score is Melbourne Knights 0, Oakleigh Cannons 1. An absolute howitzer from Joe Knowles to open the scoring. 38 minutes into the first half. Jinking past Aiden Bryce and finding top bins to give the Cannons the lead, the edge in this tie. I'm Josh Parrish. I've got Joey Lynch alongside me tonight. Joey, what have you made of this match so far?
Well, I've got to concur with you about Joe Knowles. It was an absolute belter, just the way that he finished that one off. But all to play for now for both sides. We saw the dynamics of the opening stanza. It was more the Cannons content to sit back and absorb pressure and try to break in transition. One would anticipate that the Knights being forced to come out and chase the game down a goal would only help those. We see Clark chest it down in his box, get it out to Decker, and Decker! Ooh. I thought that was in, Josh Parrish.
It just seemed to drop out of the night sky. I mean, certainly Tom Manos was not taking any chances.
I mean, off the boot, I was just going to keep going. I thought there was no way that was going anywhere close, and then it just died in midair.
It's a backspin. He's been watching the French Open, Wade Decker.
I mean, we are near some clay by the quarry, but as the Cannons come once more, out to Guest on the left, takes a first-time effort, Joe Guest! Oh, my word. The Knights are absolutely living dangerously. First Decker, and now Guest within inches of making it 2-0.
Well, Steve Bebbage would have wanted a reaction at halftime, and they've come out half asleep, the Knights players. It's extraordinary. And Joe Guest is extraordinarily close to doubling Oakleigh's advantage. That has come back off the inside of the post and nestled safely in the grateful arms of Tom Manos. Extraordinary. And here they come again through Wade Decker. Deflection on the cross, and again it's straight to Manos, and again Melbourne Knights, fortune favours them in the early moments of this second 45. They started very sloppily, giving the ball away again. Joe Knowles rides one challenge. Still going. Joe Knowles. Can he do it again? Past a third. Joe Knowles. He'll turn provider this time for Joe Guest. The shot is blocked. It's Holmes again. Blocked by Bryce. Oakleigh corner.
Well, you could see Aiden Bryce is absolutely losing his mind with his teammates, and with good reason on that occasion. I mean, it felt like Joe Knowles was on the ball for about 10 minutes. He just kept going and going and looking for a teammate, looking for an angle for a shot. The Oakleigh Cannons have come out like an absolute house on fire, and the Melbourne Knights have come out completely asleep. As you said, Josh, it's not a happy combination if you are Steve Bebbage in the dugout for the Knights. And now they're going to have to defend a corner.
Well, the weather's cleared up here in Sunshine, but they're weathering a storm at the moment.
Oh, very good, Josh. I think this is Knowles to take this one.
He's indeed in swinger. Hit in the wrong direction by Giselle, and it's a good claim by Manos on the loose ball. Not convincing defending, though, at the near post from Anthony Giselle.
I mean, if you are the Knights right now, your first priority is just get the ball out of your own half. Everything has been played in their side of the pitch in these opening exchanges. You see the Cannons not letting them out. They're going to be forced to go back. Iridakunda has dropped to provide an option. Semakula now, world's shortest centre-back for now.
They haven't reorganised after this defensive corner.
There we go.
There we go. They're back to their traditional shape. It's given away, though. Marth reading the bounce.
But
cannoned off Decker.
There we go. Just sustained pressure from the Cannons. You've got to think that if the Knights don't snuff this out soon, it is going to eventually make the breakthrough.
It has to come back to bite them at some point if they keep playing like this. Manos telling his team to push up and bunch up, so he has something to aim for. And a realistic chance of Melbourne Knights reclaiming possession off this. They won't. It's Daniel Clark. Decker's pass hit Iradekunda's hand, but contact ruled unintentional by Jonas Zizis.
There we go. And when it rains, it pours. And Zelic trying to just bend that ball around the corner, but can only put it out. So chance for the Cannons to get things going once again on their left flank in the form of Anthony Pantazopoulos. We'll just look for territory down the left. Clark's there trying to get on it. Bounces over his head, but the fresh airy swing there from Marth, and then Clark shrugged him off, and then cut out by Aidan Bryce with the important intervention. The Knights now look to counter through Sumayoro, and then, well, College got the ball and then went down under the challenge from Pantazopoulos, and that's enough to induce the free kick.
Well, we could hear the contact up here in the Knights press box. Don't think he was going anywhere with it, Luca College, but...
Well, he got to the ball first, Josh, and that's what is important in these 50-50s.
Indeed.
Kept in well by Knowles. Not on the second time of asking, though. It will be a Knights throw-in.
Don't know if that was intentional from Daniel Clark to just flick the ball away from Jack Marth and prevent Knights from restarting play immediately. If it was crafty work from the NPL Victoria veteran. Pantazopoulos gets a foot in. Joe Knowles, the side volley clearance. Clark battling with Iridakunda. Down the line for Joe Guest. Sees Jack Marth coming and settles for the throw. Taken quickly. Can't find Daniel Clark. Selic's touch is heavy, and he's always trying to play those first-time balls around the corner, but I think sometimes he's got more time than he thinks he has.
Well, he's just trying to be a bit cute, perhaps.
I think he can take a touch on many occasions. He drops so deep, he's getting clear of his marker. He just tries to play them first time, and they've gone offline 5, 6, 7 times already this evening.
I mean, it's twice now in the second half that he's done it, so one to keep an eye on. As the Cannons eventually come away with it, at least initially. Oh, big 50-50 there. Neither player. Well, bit of judo has broken out, as has a melee.
Well, Tyson Holmes...
It's all on in the middle. I went to the Australia Cup and the WWE broke out.
Tyson Holmes being a little bit too blatant with his professional foul. He ended up wrestling Luca College to the ground.
And it looks like he's been hurt in the exchange. It really was. He must have, rush of blood to the head. He gave up on the play and just threw his opponent to the field. One would imagine that he will be booked for that, even though it does appear as though he's been hurt now as well.
Well, the interesting thing is the sorting out that the referees have to do afterwards and the scuffles that broke out. Will there be a potential red card to come out of this? I don't envy the match officials right now because there was so much going on. It was difficult to keep track of.
It feels like there has been a few pushing and shoving incidences in this game. I mean, Semakula in the opening half got involved in a few of them, but sort of felt like that came out of nowhere.
It hasn't been simmering or bubbling the way you would expect. I don't know if there's even been a yellow card in the fixture so far.
There hasn't. Well, there's certainly going to be one now, one would expect. I mean,
at least a yellow. Bumping
into referee Ionis Zizis before the game, he was talking about if we get out of here without talking to him and saying his name and anything like that, it's a good game. Unfortunately, he's going to come into attention now. What's he going to produce?
It was a yellow card for Holmes, a yellow card for Semakula, I believe, for his reaction, which seemed to spark it. I don't see what Tyson Holmes has to complain about here. He's still having conversations with the referee. Maybe he felt other players should have been sanctioned as well. But
I mean, the MCF fans in front of us are saying, well, they're voicing their frustration. They think Holmes should be heading for an early shower right now. I mean, it was remarkable. He just did stop and throw his opponent to the turf. So there must have been some sort of extenuating circumstances out there because you could easily see how that could be given as a red card.
It was unceremonious, to say the least. It was not a footballing play. Far from it. The game had ceased by the time Tyson Holmes was grappling with Luca College. Got a football game back underway. It's Sumayoro at the near post. Last touch off an Oakleigh player.
And this is going to be the big question now, just what does that do to the ebb and flow of the game? Does one side use it as a bit of a inspiration and, get a bit of anger going and actually use it to fire up and get into this game? Could it spark a Knights comeback, or could it spark the Cannons to put this one away as the ball swung in again, headed clear by the Cannons? Blocked away, some desperate defending happening right now, but the Knights can keep going. Albano again, looking for the byline, whipping it in. Nobody waiting for it, and in the end it's going to go out for an Oakleigh Cannon goal kick.
I dare say that might be what the Knights needed to get the adrenaline flowing. I mean, we talked about how they were looking half asleep coming out of the half-time break. Well, they're awake now. Activated the fight or flight response. And will they stand and fight here and protect their own patch? Here's the question. Giselle, free header.
Just going to give a shout out to the Knights fans there, noting Tyson Holmes' Queensland heritage and maybe thinking he's busting out the rugby tackles. Very clever.
Goes Aiden Bryce. Hails from another rugby town in Newcastle.
Signed from the Edgeworth Eagles, did he not?
Indeed.
Themselves no stranger to the national stages, the Eagles.
Went back there for a season before returning in 2022. Very popular player at Knights. If you ask any Knights fan who their favourite player is out of the current squad, I think 9 times out of 10 the answer will be Aiden Bryce. He embodies those characteristics that they value here. The leadership, the intensity, the hard work.
Is indeed one of these players that one could easily see how if somebody was willing to take a chance on him, he could fit into an A-League men locker room. As now his partner and centre-back, Marth, carries the ball forward. Now to Morton, who had to struggle to keep it in, but he'll do so. Plays a 1-2 with Sumayaro. Now College given something to chase. He's not going to get there. Well done by the Cannons as Decker just puts his boot through it. Clark eventually comes down with it. Guest steaming forward. That's where the pass from Clark is intended. Bryce getting in the way. And eventually the Knights will work it out towards the halfway line. Morton goes down under the challenge. That will be a free kick. Taken quickly. Giselle. Nice little flick around the corner. Semakula now carrying it forward. Still going, Trevor Semakula. Oh, he shoved one man down fairly though and done enough to win a corner kick. And again, flashpoints emerging. It feels like Semakula is involved in all of them. More pushing and shoving. Yellow card comes out.
For Joe Knowles, he was trying to incite Semakula into doing something silly, given that he's already on a yellow card. But Joe Knowles has been rewarded with the booking himself.
Have to be careful. You don't want to get rubbed out crucial stages of the season, let alone in the rest of this game. The last thing the Cannons want to do is try to defend a slender 1-goal lead with just 10 players on the park. They'll have to prepare to face this corner now. Swung in swinger. Oh, Aiden Bryce was lurking, just cleared his head. Sent back in by Giselle, but comfortable collection for Nicholas Feely in the Cannon goals.
MCF fans below us, counting the seconds as Nick Feely took his time launching that one.
I think they might have started at 3 rather than 1, Josh. But
I'm not saying it was an accurate count. Here goes Mo Sumayoro. Trying to pick out College, but Pantasopoulos reads it.
Looks like there's movement on the Knights bench, Josh.
Can only imagine it's Anthony Frangi.
Well, on the benches for both sides, we've got the backup goalkeepers, Harry Chakarun for the Knights and Lachlan Hart for the Cannons, and then the outfielders for the Knights, Fuki Ishibashi, Andrew Robertson, Anthony Frangi and Steve Sokol.
I wouldn't be so quick to count out Harry Chakaran as an outfielder, Joey, after the cameo role he played against South Melbourne last year.
Oh, we can live in hope, Josh Parrish. And for the Oakleigh Cannons, their bench options, as we said, a very young bench. Nicholas Ganakis, Alan Gorgaric, Nick Nyagoran and Pavel Kuznetsov. Nyagoran there, the only one you would say is a recognisable senior player. Has 3 goals thus far in the Australian Cup, but the others, although as we mentioned, they have scored for the 21s, not really established senior players, as Somayara goes down there in a challenge that doesn't earn a free kick.
Yeah, Semakula limping after that one. It will be just a throw, I think.
He certainly wanted a free kick, yelling in pain as he went down.
Here he goes, Trevor Semakula. Slams the ball straight into Tyson Holmes. Don't know if that's a bit of belated revenge for the incident we saw earlier. And here comes the Knights substitution. It will be Anthony Giselle replaced. And the other Anthony Frangi coming on. So we'll see a bit of a reshuffle here. Perhaps Luka Celic dropping back into that number 10 role. Frangi playing up front.
Well, it definitely is an attacking change, because even if we see Celic adopt the same position as Giselle, his attacking instincts are just a bit more profound than Giselle's. One would imagine he would be more willing to get forward.
Well, that was really interesting.
Turnover here. We're going to have to watch this. Gian Albano's coming forward. He can hit them. Gian Albano, round 1, goes down. Gian Albano steaming forward. He's going to win his side a free kick on the very edge of the penalty area.
And it looks like Jonas Zizis is reaching for his pocket. It will be a yellow card for Aaron Williams.
And now Josh Parrish. Danger signs for the Cannons. We're going to get a 5-player wall, aren't we? But who takes this one, do you think? Is it Celic? Is it Frangi?
I think it's Luka Celic who would be favoured from this sort of territory. Anthony Frangi can certainly hit them as well, although he hasn't had a touch since he's come on.
Morton was hanging around, but he just got shoved out of the way. So apologies, Jack Morton.
Well, they did lay one off for him in the first half for a shot from range. So maybe this is a bit of a bait and switch from Knights.
Well, in this position, one has to imagine that seniority is going to win out. Celic and Frangi maybe want it, although Morton is sticking around here. Celic, though, lining it up.
This is such a good spot. So difficult.
Well, is it perhaps too close, Josh? Is it going to be able to dip back down?
Well, you've got the opportunity to go past the wall as well. There's 6 in the wall for Oakleigh.
Well, Celic and Morton. Cannons leading 1-0.
Nick Feely is going to see this one really late.
Celic forces a fantastic save from Nick Feely. He would have seen that one late, but that is a world-class block from the Cannon custodian.
What a save. I mean, he had no idea where that ball was. It was as it was careening past a pack of players. That's just pure reflexes from Nick Feely. Just
immense.
Shoves out the left hand, and that ball was really travelling.
But the Knights keep this one alive. Semakula out to Morton, whose header is wayward, and Feely will just watch it roll out.
Just having another look at that free kick. Aiden Bryce was onside, so this is totally legal, but standing in direct line of vision of the goalkeeper. He ducks out of the way at the very last moment as Luka Celic goes to strike it. He actually ducks out of the way of the ball, Aiden Bryce. So, I mean, that is an incredible stop from Nick Feely.
Is that almost a penalty stop? Nick Feely just decided he was going to go one way and hoped that he predicted it right? I mean,
I think it is a reaction. It's just fantastic.
It's incredible.
Reflex reaction. He would have had some idea where the ball was going to go, you know, if Luka Celic didn't try and beat the wall from that sort of range.
Well, the Cannons coming up with a highlight quality plays down that end. Knowles almost breaking the back of the net with his long-range effort, and then Nick Feely producing a save of absolutely national stage quality. Cannons demonstrating what they can potentially bring if they are able to see this one out and get through to the national stages of the Australia Cup for the second time.
Here goes Joe Knowles again. Skipping past 2 challenges and brought down cynically by John Albano. This could be another yellow card.
Well, I can hear the fans in the grandstand from here, Josh. Feeling seeping in both to the players and the fans in the stand.
I'm surprised John Albano's got away with that one without a booking, I have to say. I feel it was a cynical challenge and Joe Knowles was already past him. Keon Aziz is just doing the mental calculations. Have I booked him already? There's been so many yellow cards in the last few minutes. It's been difficult to keep track.
Well, I think now he's headed over to have a chat with the man wearing the armband, Aidan Bryce, just telling him to calm his mob down, or otherwise that red card is going to start coming out. Oh, Manos is going to spill it. The cry from keeper came, and then Deck is going to try to capitalise and just be unable to drag it back down. Looked like Manos took a healthy hit. Down on his haunches right now.
Good pressure in the end from, I think, Luka Kolic. Just put Wade Decker off there with his goalkeeper prone on the deck. Here's the back heel from Joe Knowles. Daniel Clark sizing up Semikula. Aidan Bryce across to bring the double team. Oakleigh throw. Now wait for Matt Fashini to make a trek up from right full back to take this one. Kubalate. The shoulder pass from Daniel Clark doesn't quite come off.
Just sense that momentum now beginning to swing back around behind the Cannons, Josh. Bit of sustained pressure. With a throw in now.
I mean, the Knights really sparked up after that melee. Had a good 5 or 10 minute spell. Now the Cannons starting to take back control of this delicately poised round 7 tie.
Man, it's a bit like the hockey principle, isn't it, Josh? The version played on ice. Fights and they can potentially spark a side into life. I mean, there's blokes whose positions on NHL rosters is half there just because they can start and win fights and get the teams fired up.
Well, if this one doesn't calm down a little bit, we're going to have a power play for the rest of the game, Joey.
Neither of these teams feature anyone Canadian, do they? Can't be a real hockey match without a Canadian involved.
Well, we do have, I'll wait for this to develop, Tyson Holmes. Knowles.
Ooh.
Semikula wins it legally, and now the Knights can spring on the counter. Kubalate catches up with him. Semikula keeps his feet. Albano runs into a brick wall in the shape of Aaron Williams. And now Decker can go the other way. Daniel Clark, Joe Guest making the run. Can he get there? Not quite. He lays it off for Wade Decker! Is that the goal that sends Oakleigh through to the national round of 32? Wade Decker, who's been so prolific in the league this season, has finally scored his first Australia Cup goal of 2022, and it could not be a more vital one.
Well, you could see that one developing. Knights fans will be upset that Semikula didn't get a free kick as they were looking to counter as he was potentially dragged back by Kubalate. But then Oakleigh fans could perhaps counter that Semikula laid a foul that broke them in transition. So ball don't lie. Perhaps it evens out. And then the Cannons just coming forward. We've talked about it again and again tonight, Josh Parrish, just how good the Cannons are when they get out in transition. The first avenue through to goal didn't work. The second one didn't work, but then there was another one, and cooler heads prevailed as Wade Decker, 11 goals thus far in the NPL men's Victoria season, gets his first Australia Cup goal, driving it into that bottom corner of the net. And indeed, we are increasingly looking like the Oakleigh Cannons will return to the national stages for the first time in 6 years, for the first time since 2016.
Well, it's a game of fine margins, Joey. And I can't help feeling for Aiden Bryce here, because on both goals, he's just been a step too late to bail his side out. On the Joe Knowles goal, he was just beaten to the ball. This time he did get to the ball, but didn't get enough of a connection on it, with Guest's challenge coming in to clear it, and ended up laying it into the path of the reigning FV gold medalist. And he showed great awareness, Joe Guest, to find Decker on the layoff with the outside of his boot.
As we see Pantazopoulos there getting in cross with an important challenge on Sumayoro. But now, time ticking away, 20-odd minutes left for the Knights to mount what would be a fantastical comeback. Of course, extra time and penalties tonight if this game is still tied at the end of 90 and then 120 minutes. We must have a winner at Knights Stadium. But it is increasingly looking like we won't need the extra football. The Oakleigh Cannons with a 2-0 lead. Joe Knowles and Wade Decker putting their side in a commanding position at Knights Stadium. Cup football indeed might be on its way back out to Jack Edwards Reserve.
It's a fantastic atmosphere there when you get a good crowd in. I'd love to say a national stage game hosted at Jack Edwards.
If the Cannons could get an A-League men's side into Jack Edwards, it would be a fantastical occasion. We have seen, I think, Melbourne City take pre-season games to Oakleigh in the past. Maybe Melbourne Victory as well. Maybe anybody in the comments might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
Knights preparing another change by the looks of things.
This is Steve Sokol.
Looks like Fuki Ishibashi is taking the jersey off.
Could be an interesting one. I mean, could be potentially seeing somebody like Aiden Bryce being thrown forward. It is a time-honoured tradition in football, as Michael Lynch informed me on the broadcast on Friday night. When in doubt, throw the big man forward.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, Harry Chakarun is right there. Come on, Steve Babbage, you know you want to.
I don't think we're going to see Harry Chakarun as a outfielder tonight, Josh Parrish.
For the uninitiated, the Knights were so short-handed, injuries and so forth against South Melbourne. They'd used all their other substitutions, that their reserve goalkeeper was thrown on up front for a few minutes.
Right now, the Knights are defending. This free kick swung in, won't beat the first defender. Kublai sends it back. Albano collects out there on the left flank. Once again, though, surrounded by defenders in navy blue.
Here comes a double change for Melbourne Knights. Luka Kolic will be replaced.
Will be Steve Sokol, one of the players coming on, number 23.
Fuki Ishibashi comes on for Jack Morton. We'll see what this means for the Knights' shape.
Well, I mean, we talked about Frangie knows where the goal is. So does Steve Sokol. 18 goals in 13 starts with Inglewood United in last year's NPL WA competition.
At the moment, it's looking like 3 at the back for the Knights. Let's see if that's just a temporary. And referee bringing out the cards again, this time for Anthony Frangie. Studs up challenge.
Well, Sokol has 2 goals in the league thus far this season, still waiting to open up his Australia Cup account.
I think that one was on Joe Knowles. It's a nasty one too. Just came in late, stomped on his foot.
Bit of feeling has been evident throughout, especially this second half. As the Cannons will get the free kick here. And, I mean, we talk about the Australian Cup potentially coming to Jack Edwards Reserve, Josh Parrish, as this ball is floated forward, but will roll out. I mean, it can be such an important source of revenue for these NPL sides. I mean, you made reference to the Knights box earlier in the call. It was built in part because the Knights drew Adelaide United in the round of 32 of the 2019, as it was then known, FFA Cup, and really helps them invest and improve their facilities and really put best foot forward, not just for the NPL, but something potentially like a national second division. And now if the Cannons can hold out. We already know that some upgrades and renovations are coming to Jack Edwards Reserve as that long ball sails through to Feely, but with the added revenue that can potentially come with drawing an A-League men's side in the Australia Cup, who knows what improvements can be made down there at Jack Edwards Reserve, not just for the Oakleigh Cannons first team, but for every club in their junior setup that uses it.
It's a slip from Ishibashi. Bryce on the cover, and it does look like Knights are playing 3 at the back. Tactical change from Steve Bebic.
Well, there literally is no tomorrow in this Australia Cup if you lose tonight, so might as well if you are the Knights.
It's the big switch. Sumayoro underneath the ball. Now Joe Guest. Getting it down for Pantazopoulos. Under pressure from Sokol. Pantazopoulos skips past the challenge of Sumayoro. Now it's Wade Decker. Guest lays it off straight to Luka Celic. That's a telegraph pass straight to Oliver Kubalay.
Cannons coming once more now. Knowles, he's done well to lose his marker, and then Kubalay on the left flank. Low ball driven in. Who wants it? In the end, it's going to really sail past everybody, but Tyson Holmes is going to get there for the Cannons. Send it back central. Feint of the shot before it gets to Kubalay. Nice tight control from the Cannons, well, at least initially, but then Holmes fighting with it with Semakula, but eventually the Cannons come away with it. A third would surely kill the game off. And they're not going to get it or a penalty. Instead, it rolls out for a corner kick.
It's Anthony Frangi all the way back doing the defensive work and living dangerously with Joe Knowles there.
Now, Joe Guest in no hurry to get over and take this corner. Under 15 minutes remaining here at Knights Stadium. His side in the ascendancy. Taken short. Knowles. Knowles the overlapping run. Takes a touch. His cross. Clark is waiting. He can't get there. It was attempted clearance by the Knights. Second one a bit more convincing. Pantazopoulos sends it out to Dillon on the left. Oscar Dillon, the centre back. Oh, bundled over. No foul. And in the end, it's going to be Melbourne Knights ball.
Admirable time-wasting job by Oscar Dillon, but it's a little early for that.
So I'm not even actually sure he was trying to... I think he did want to send it across there. He was just bullied into the corner. Pantazopoulos heads that one from whence it came. Decker just swings a boot around it, sends it back in. Bryce boots it clear. Majestic looking header there from Dillon. Got the back leg up. Oh, falling over the ball there was Marth. Gave Clark a bit of an opening, and eventually the Cannons will swarm. Clark now, men in the middle. Was looking for Decker. Sent clear.
Aidan Bryce, the crucial intervention at the heart of what's now a back three. Tactical change to a 3-4-3 hasn't paid off for Steve Bebic's men just yet.
See, now look, Gian Albano is on his own little island there on the halfway mark. So if the Knights break quickly, look for the immediate switch of play to the left flank.
If they can get the ball to their forward line, Sokol, Frangi and Albano, that's some firepower they've got at their disposal.
That's very clever there from Pantazopoulos, I think it was. Just saw Sumayoro charging him down, so just sent the ball straight into him to win a corner.
We're going to have another change for the Knights.
Well, Robertson's the only outfielder yet to come on, so by the process of elimination, unless you are about to get your wish and Harry Chakaran can come on as well, Josh.
I wasn't going to say it again.
Now Knowles, out there on the right. Well, on his right boot. Oh, it's an Olympico! How about that, Joe Knowles? Australia, acquaint yourselves with the Oakleigh Cannons, because through the magic of an Olympico, Joel Knowles has put his side up 3-0 and they will be going to the national stages of the Australia Cup.
Is there anywhere Joe Knowles can't score from? Direct from the corner kick. He scored a screamer in the first half from about 25 metres into the top corner. This time, it's on a 0-degree angle, quite literally. Tom Manos won't want to see that one back.
I mean, is that an own goal, or are we allowing Knowles to claim that one?
I think it's absolutely Joe Knowles' goal because the ball is goal-bound. The ball is absolutely goal-bound. Manos gets a touch on it, but it's almost already going over the line by the time he makes contact. That is 100% Joe Knowles' goal.
Of all the ways for this game to be sealed, we've had argy-bargy, we've had brilliant moments of skill. Nicholas Feely produces one of the saves of, well, the season, regardless of if you're watching the A-Leagues or the NPL or the Australia Cup. And then it's decided with an Olympico.
We've had a bit of everything tonight, haven't we? Can't complain from this trip to Summer Street.
Oh, football Josh Parrish.
Bloody hell. Down goes Robertson, the new man. No free kick. Here's Joe Knowles on a hat-trick. Can't stop him tonight. Decker. Lovely return pass from Wade Decker. Joe Knowles leaves Ishibashi on the deck.
Oh, Manos, get up, son.
And here's Daniel Clark on his weaker right foot. Displays it high and wide.
Actually, Clark probably wishing he could have done a bit better with that one. I mean, it might, in this case, be a bit redundant given that they are 3-0 up in the last 10 minutes of the game, but talking about confidence and all of that sort of stuff, Josh Parrish, I mean, we now, well, touch wood if you are an Oakleigh Cannons fan, but we would now safely anticipate that they are through to the national stages, which will which will come together in the coming months, but they also have a league campaign, a title race with South Melbourne to try to win. And you want your number 9 scoring goals if you're involved in one of them, especially off the back of 2 straight draws. Now, as Wade Decker brings it back inside. Holmes. No stranger to the national stages of the Australia Cup. It's Nathan Holmes, thanks to his time with the Bentley Greens, who will be in action in other round 7 qualifying matches from Football Victoria. They will be taking on Banyule City next week, seeking to return to the national rounds of the Cup.
Banyule, very ambitious State League 1 side.
Some very familiar names at Banyule, are they not?
Yeah, they've been very aggressive with their recruitment this year.
Of course, one other game also taking place tonight, Green Gully versus Whittlesea United. Tomorrow night, 2 NPL men's sides going at it in the form of Dandenong Thunder and Heidelberg. As we'll pause now as the Cannons looking dangerous once more. Is this a penalty? It is. So the Cannons can well and truly kill this game off. Bursting down the right flank. Again, Knowles involved in the build-up.
It was Matt Foschini who went down under the challenge of Fuki Ishibashi. Knowles the creator again. And it will be Joe Knowles to take this penalty.
Look for the hat-trick. Well, there are perfect hat-tricks, Josh. What do you call a hat-trick with a banger, an Olympico and a penalty? I mean, we might be getting a bit ahead of ourselves. Manos a fine goalkeeper. He might save it, but Joe Knowles, the West Australian native, now representing the Oakleigh Cannons.
Magic, that's what I call it, Joey.
No, that's Altona. As Knowles now, Joe Knowles, Tom Manos. Knowles wins the battle. Oakleigh win the war. 4-0 against the Melbourne Knights. They'll be through to the national stages, convincing fashion. It's all gone wrong for the Knights in this second half.
A hat-trick for Joe Knowles tonight. What a performance. People often ask me, who are the players in NPL who should be in the A-League? And Joe Knowles is one of the names I come up with every single time. He's a remarkable talent, and he's shown it tonight in one of the biggest games of the season to send Oakleigh to the national stages. A virtuoso performance from the man from Perth.
Well, 15 appearances for Perth Glory once upon a time for Joe Knowles. If you are an A-League men coach heading into off-season mode, maybe you're interrupting your scant holiday time to tune into some Australia Cup action, here's a free one for you, Joe Knowles. I mean, there's a few running around, not just in this game, but in other Australia Cup matches, and indeed every week across grounds in the NPL Men's Victoria competition, in every NPL competition around the country. As it really is academic now. Final 5 minutes or so of this game. Also, interesting, the Cannons, well, as we see one player getting up on the bench now, I don't think the Cannons have made a sub, have they yet, Josh? So, Chris Taylor dancing with the ones that brought him.
Well, that's not unlike CT. He's very reticent to make changes if things are going well.
And they're going very well tonight.
A real old school English coach, Chris Taylor.
I don't know what you mean, Josh.
If it ain't broke, don't you dare go about fixing it. Oakleigh are humming along at the moment. That's the late challenge from Thierry Iridikunda. Latest Knights player into the book. So I hastily mentally run through the players on yellow cards. And finally we will have an Oakleigh change.
Will be Kubalay coming off, in no hurry to do so.
Nick Neogorian on to replace him. So Daniel Clark will likely drop back into midfield for the big number 9.
There he goes. So, as we were mentioning, other Australia Cup games, which you will be able to see on the Australia Cup Facebook page, the Football Victoria Facebook and YouTube page, or npl.tv. Dandenong Thunder against Heidelberg United tomorrow night on Wednesday. Two sides with proud histories. We're going to get through to the national stages as Nagoran looking to add his name to the score sheet. Couldn't bring down the cross, and that's going to be wound up as it takes a touch off Iona Zizis.
It's the second time he's been involved in the play tonight.
And then next week, as I mentioned, Bentley Greens versus Banyule City, and then on the game in action, Brimbank Stallions looking to stage what could potentially be one of the biggest upsets in Australia Cup history up against the might of Avondale FC. As now, Knights trying to come forward, through ball, slid in the direction of Steve Stockall. Too much mustard on it.
Should I reveal the Melbourne Knights connection to Brimbank, Joey?
Oh, go on.
Andrew Stabbermarth in the dugout there. His son, of course, playing tonight at centre-back for the Melbourne Knights. Legend of Victorian football. And his Brimbank side will trying to upset the immense odds.
No, they certainly won't die wondering. Any side coached by Andrew Stabbermarth.
I've seen them in action, Joey, and they are a handful. They're a crafty outfit. They're very physical, and they don't back down from a challenge.
I think our listeners can read between the lines on that description. But that game taking place out at City Vista Reserve, the home of Caroline Springs, George Cross. If you are in the area and you are free next Wednesday night, be sure to try to get down to that one and watch in person. The Bentley Greens game against Banyule City taking place at their home ground of Kingston Heath. The Thunder hosting Heidelberg tomorrow night at George Andrews Reserve. And we'll get an update from you, Josh, on the progress score in the other game tonight, Green Gully versus Whittlesea in a second. But right now, I think Nagoran, well, he's taken it to the corner flag. He initially looked like he wanted to send something in. In the end, he's content to waste a bit of time before giving away a goal kick. But Josh, what is the progress score out at Green Gully Reserve?
Well, Whittlesea United have been on the receiving end of 2 red cards. So it's 11 v 9. And Green Gully have a 2-goal advantage, an own goal, and a Noel Bernarda tap-in after excellent work by Mamadi Kamara down the left-hand side. And they almost made it 3, just as we were speaking. But Green Gully comfortably through against lower league opposition.
So Green Gully returning to the national stages once more, responsible for one of, if not the most famous moments in Australia/FFA Cup history. The late, great Michael Cockerell's call of Liam Boland's amazing piece of individual brilliance. Something that will live on in highlight reels for generations to come. Cocker's fantastic call of Boland's, Oland's, and you all just imagine the last bit.
I was wondering whether we were going to get a full-on evocation, Joey. And finally, Oakleigh do give these youngsters a run out. A triple change for Chris Taylor's side. All the remaining outfielders on the park.
The human victory cigars have entered the fray. Sokol trying to get things going down the right. He's done very well, Steve Sokol, there. Give him credit. Couldn't find the overlapping run. Kept alive by the Knights. Sumayoro on the right. Charged down. Falcon.
Welcome to the game for Pavel Kuznetsov.
It's absolutely freezing. That will sting for quite a while.
He barely flinched, the young man. Credit to him.
Oh, he's well hard. There's Dillon. Sends that one away. Only for it to come straight back, but once more, the former Gold Coast Knight, Western United defender, makes the intervention. Well, appeals for a back pass there from the Knights. Fall on deaf ears.
I mean, referees rarely give that unless it's absolutely blatant.
Iridakunda pressuring Holmes and forcing him to cough it up, but then the pass intended for Albano picked out by Oscar Dillon. Ball slid through. Nyagoran's there. Can he pick out a man in the middle? Kuznetsov was waiting at the back post. Guest arriving as well. Sent clear by the Knights. Oh, and then just falling over himself was Frangie, losing his footing in the centre of the park.
He was just wrong-footed by the pass there from Steve Sokol, but
here
Jack
comes,
Marth.
Marth once more.
On an adventure.
Riding the challenge of Clark, who's followed him. But then coming in with the challenge was Ganakis.
Great challenge by young Nick Ganakis. Early ball in behind by Clark for Nick Nyagoran.
Of course, Nick Nyagoran winning through to the national stages of the Australian Cup. Has been there once before with the Moreland Zebras. That ball whipped in. It's going to go past Manos, and important intervention, but it's not cleared, and the shot was wound up, but then not proper contact on it. Now Albano trying to bring it down, fighting for it. Dillon.
Hasn't been his night, John Albano, has it?
Dillon's made a few crucial interventions in the past few minutes. Two number fives coming up big for their respective sides. Kuznetsov on the left flank, the youngster. Game's already in the bag, but scoring a goal or netting an assist for these youngsters can't exactly hurt their cases for more playing time with Chris Taylor. Clark. No, sorry, not Clark. He's over there. The ball comes back inside then from range. Would have been something. From about 30 yards out.
And that will be that. Jonas Isis draws this one to a close. And the Oakleigh Cannons are through in emphatic fashion to the national stages of the Australia Cup. Will an A-League side be waiting for them? We'll have to wait for the draw to see. But they have comprehensively put their case forward as a side who could make a run in this competition. Joe Knowles with an outstanding hat-trick has lit up the evening here at Knight Stadium. A goal from range, a goal from the penalty spot, and a goal direct from the corner. Is there anything this man can't do? He has been absolutely electric tonight, and so have the Oakleigh Cannons here in this second half. 3 unanswered goals to make it 4-0 at full time.
Indeed, the Oakleigh Cannons Season 2 Remember continues through to the national stages of the Australia Cup in the mix of a title race with South Melbourne. And indeed, thanks to the peculiarities of this season, still in line to win the 2021 league as well with the way things are going. So Chris Taylor's side, after entering this game off the back of 2 league draws, all cooking with gas now, booking their place in the round of 32. We'll be hoping perhaps to draw an A-League men's side for the very first time. Their previous run characterised by playing sides from WA, South Australia, AINS, Victoria. But they'll go through. The Knights will have to plot for another year when they can try to get through to the national stages. The final score from out here in Sunshine at Knights Stadium: Melbourne Knights 0, Oakleigh Cannons 4. I've been Joey Lynch, joined by Josh Parrish on the call for this one. Once more, you can catch every game from the Victorian preliminary round 7 qualifiers on the Australia Cup Facebook page, the Football Victoria Facebook page, Football Victoria YouTube page, or npl.tv. Josh, any final thoughts?
No, Joey, it's been a great night out here at Knights Stadium. Ended up being not much of a contest in the final half hour, but it certainly was a very, very interesting viewing for at least a good 60 minutes, and some spectacular goals as well. Joe Knowles with 3, Wade Decker with 1, and Oakleigh Cannons have the firepower to do something special in this competition. We'll leave you with these scenes from Knights Stadium. Final score: Melbourne Knights 0, Oakleigh Cannons 4.